All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something that, and I mean this literally, connects everything on Earth. We're going to break down environmental science. Think of it as the ultimate user's guide to our planet.
So, to kick things off, let me ask you a quick question. What in the world do massive wildfires, the phone in your pocket, and the fish on your plate have in common? I mean, they sound totally random, right?
Well, believe it or not, they are all deeply connected by one single, absolutely fascinating field of study. It's kind of like the master detective for our planet. So, what is this field? What's this master key that unlocks how all these different things are related? Let's get a really clear definition.
Okay, so here's the textbook definition. It's an interdisciplinary field that pulls in pretty much everything: biology, chemistry, computer science, you name it. But honestly, if you only remember two words, make them interdisciplinary and solutions. See, this isn't just about studying problems, it's about building a team of experts to actually fix them.
And here's probably the best way to wrap your head around it. If our planet were a patient, environmental science would be its doctor. It's the field that diagnoses the symptoms, figures out what's causing the sickness, and writes the prescription for getting better. But our planet is an incredibly complex patient. So how does this planetary doctor even begin to make a diagnosis? Well, the short answer is it doesn't do it alone. And that's really the key takeaway here. No one specialty has all the answers for a patient with a complex illness. And it's the exact same for the Earth. No single branch of science can solve the whole puzzle. So this right here, this is the planet's medical team. You've got your life sciences, biologists, and ecologists. They're like the heart specialists checking the planet's vital signs. Then you've got the physical sciences, chemists and geologists. They're kind of like the radiologists, getting those deep scans to see the underlying structure. And then, and this is so important, you've got experts in human systems, sociologists, economists, policy wonks, who are basically studying the patient's lifestyle, because let's be honest, that's often where the problems start. So you see, it's a truly holistic approach. It's not just looking at one part. It's about putting all those pieces together to get a complete picture of the patient's health, from the tiniest microbe to the entire global climate. Okay, so understanding the problem is one thing, but what do we do about it? This is where environmental science really steps up and becomes one of the most critical fields of our time. I mean, its importance is just massive. It's the field that helps us understand our own footprint, figure out how to manage the resources we all depend on, tackle climate change, protect our own health. It's not just about saving polar bears, it's about making sure our own societies can continue to thrive. But here's the catch. You can have all the scientific data in the world, but if those reports just sit on a shelf gathering dust, they don't do anybody any good. The diagnosis is not the cure. Getting from diagnosis to cure is really a three-step process. First, scientists do the research to identify the problem. Second, innovators and policymakers develop solutions, things like green tech or new laws. But that third step, that's the real game changer: public awareness that empowers real change. And that is where the story stops being about them, the scientists, and starts being about all of us. This chart shows that ripple effect perfectly. It starts small, right? With individual choices, but that grows into community action, and that builds the momentum needed to demand real policy changes. That's how you create the political will for big systemic shifts. Just look at movements like Fridays for Future. They've shown how millions of people raising their voices can completely change the global conversation. It's proof that public awareness is the engine that drives action. But all of this brings us to a much deeper and maybe even tougher part of environmental science, because it turns out it's not just about facts and data. It's also about our values. You see, science is fantastic at telling us what we can do. It can lay out the consequences of our choices with incredible detail. But what it can't do is answer the big question: knowing all of this, what should we do? What's the right path to take? A lot of that comes down to this fundamental idea of value. Do we see nature as having instrumental value, meaning a forest is valuable because of the timber and resources it gives us? Or do we see it as having intrinsic value? The idea that the forest has value simply because it exists, that it has a right to be, totally separate from its usefulness to people. And how we answer that question shapes our whole ethical viewpoint. An anthropocentric view is human-centered. It puts our needs first. A biocentric view expands that circle of moral concern to all living things. And then an ecocentric view goes even bigger,
saying that the entire ecosystem, that whole interconnected web of life, is what's most valuable.
A pioneering thinker named Aldo Leopold put this ecocentric idea into words beautifully with his concept of a land ethic. He basically said that the ultimate test of what's right or wrong is whether it keeps the entire community of life healthy, stable, and beautiful. It's a really profound idea.
So, as we wrap up, it really comes down to two sides of the same coin. On one side, you have environmental science. It gives us the knowledge. It's the user's guide, the diagnosis, the cold hard facts.
And on the other side, you have environmental ethics. And it doesn't give us easy answers. Instead, it asks us a really profound question. Now that we have all this knowledge, what are we going to do with it? Through the language of science, of melting ice, shifting seasons, and changing ecosystems, the planet is talking. The only question left is, are we actually ready to listen?